The Israeli government is condemning the global streaming channel Netflix for its decision to screen the Jordanian film Farha, which depicts Israel's 1948 War of Independence through the eyes of a 14-year-old Palestinian girl, including reportedly a depiction of Israeli soldiers killing members of her family and other civilians. Finance Minister Avigdor Lieberman saying, quote, "It's crazy that Netflix decided to stream a movie whose whole purpose is to create a false pretense and incite against Israeli soldiers." Also coming under fire is the Al Sayyaria Theater right here in Jaffa, which is screening the film tonight. Culture Minister Hilly Troper responding, quote, "The decision of a government-funded theater in Israel to screen a film which, as far as I understand, includes false accusations against IDF soldiers, depicts a family's massacre, which comparing it to Nazi behavior during the Holocaust is particularly outrageous." Well, our correspondent Pia Steckelbach is outside that theater right here in Jaffa. And Pia, what's the scene there? This is generating a lot of publicity, certainly not all of it good for that theater over the screening of this film.
Well, Calev, for sure, this is not a regular movie screening here. This is very much a political affair. Just a few moments ago, the last demonstrators left. You can see it here behind me. There is a separation barrier here bailed up by the police. Demonstrators were standing there on both sides. On one side, right-wing demonstrators. On the other side, people who were attending that movie screening here. The one side was saying that this is actually a shame to the Israeli soldiers that an Israeli-funded theater is allowing the screening of such a movie. The other side, the attendees of this event were saying we should have a discourse about this. These are historical facts and people should actually acknowledge them. Now, Calev, you already talked a little bit about the actual content of this movie. We're talking about a Jordanian movie, or a movie made by a Jordanian writer and director. Her name is Dareen J. Salam. And this movie talks about how a 14-year-old Palestinian girl relives or lives through the events of 1948, the war between the newly founded Israel and Arab states, from actually hiding in a closet. She's been hiding there from, as the movie portrays it, assaults of Israeli soldiers from back then. The Israeli army was called Haganah. Now, the criticism here is about how these soldiers are depicted, and also about the fact that this state-funded theater here, Saraya here in Jaffa, is screening this movie tonight. Now, this is actually one day before Netflix is also going to provide that movie tomorrow. There's been a movement online of Israelis, also quite prominent figures, canceling their Netflix subscription in a protest against this movie. But Calev, internationally, this movie has already received quite some attention. It was screened for the first time last year at the Toronto Film Festival. It has received several awards also internationally, and it will also represent Jordan at the next year's Oscar event. So attention is on this movie, and now it is also on this movie in Israel, not only because of this online protest or this online boycott of Netflix, but also because of what happened on the political scene here in Israel today. You mentioned the Culture Minister Hilly Troper condemning the movie and its screening here in Jaffa tonight. Also, Avigdor Lieberman now calling upon the Treasury to actually revoke the funding for this theater here in Jaffa. And as much as it has been on the political discourse, today it has also been pretty heated up. Here, there were not so many demonstrators, less than expected, because we've seen pretty big police forces here, also undercover police, preparing for a possible escalation between the demonstrators. Now I would say there have been maybe 10, 12 demonstrators on the side of the right-wing demonstrators, and there have been the attendees of this movie screening here tonight on the other side, very literally from this fence here, shouting at each other, saying that this screening is justified. The other side saying that this is actually a shame to the IDF soldiers. But now, as of now, the screening is going on inside, and the demonstrators have left as of now.
All right, but I suspect we haven't heard the last of the controversy over this movie, especially when, as you say, it starts showing on Netflix. Of course, that's a global audience for the film. Pia Steckelbach there in Jaffa. Thank you for that.